Welcome to the live stream, everyone. I am back in the studio. I have been so busy. So it's good to be back. Actually, we were here last Tuesday, but I have been just going like crazy. So we're going to talk about that tonight. We're also going to look at the new DJI Mini Pro 4 and kind of compare it to the drone that I purchased. I have the 3 Pro, and now there's a 4 Pro. And so we're going to take a look at that. I haven't done a lot of research. I did see that, but I was so busy getting ready to go do live sound for a tent event in Connell, Washington. And that ended on Sunday evening, and got everything packed up and moved home. And so, yeah, crazy. It's about 45 minutes from my house. So I was driving up there for afternoon sound checks, and some of the nights needed to play music until the wee hours of the evening. I think the noise ordinance was at 10 o'clock. So I was sometimes playing music till 10. And then by the time I was able to get everything covered, I was out of there sometimes at 11 o'clock, home here after midnight. So it's been a crazy week. It's good to see you guys here in the chat. Let's just go ahead. I've said hi personally to some of you, but let's go ahead and put chat on the air. And I'm a little tired, so I apologize. So if I'm going to make mistakes, tonight's going to be the night. That is not a self-prophecy, but tonight will probably be the night that you'll see me mess up, because I am really exhausted. But I had a good time. We'll talk a little bit more about that. But early in tonight is Doug. Thank you so much for joining me. Followed by Joe. It looks like, Joe, you're early. That's a good job. So thank you for joining me. We got a Hank here in the house as well. So you guys got the front row tonight. Congratulations. High five. High five. So then right next to them in the back row is Jay, and followed by Tony. It's good to have you in the house tonight. And Freddie, apologizing for missing last Tuesday. Yeah, you know, it's kind of a hangout for me, I guess, with you guys coming each week. I appreciate you very much. That's why I'm live tonight, to be honest with you. If there wasn't some regular attenders, I would have taken this week off to recover. My wife, Shannon, has been very sick, so she's actually feeling a little bit better today. So, and actually the last 3 days I had to go. It was kind of roles reversed here. My mother-in-law was over here checking on my wife. When I got home in the afternoon yesterday, I found her unloading the dishwasher, which was pretty cool. I was only going to be able to be home for an hour. I had some changes to do in Connell. So yesterday I made Sunday I made 2 trips. That was Sunday. Then yesterday I was out there to get all my power cords and all of that, making sure I inspected the site. So it was quite a crazy journey, but good to have you back, Freddie. I will go ahead and hit record. Thank you so much for that, Tony. And maybe we'll get through tonight with your guys' help. I do have a poll tonight. I'm not going to make a poll, but I do have a poll. This was actually a tent revival meeting in Connell. And so I really do want to show you a clip that I put together tonight. I see, I hope it's ready to play. Did I even get it loaded? That is a great question. Did I get it? Oh, that's right. I'm going to play it from my iPhone. I'm so tired. So let me know if you're okay with that. There's a couple little sermon segments. I can't show any of the live music. I will pop some pictures up on my iPhone. I'm just going to be showing you some pictures from my iPhone and SuperSource tonight. Again, tried to rest this morning as much as I could, then got in the studio about 10:30 or so today. Started working on the still image and the intro and outro video. So again, let me know in the chat if it's okay for me to roll that. If you guys are okay with hearing a couple little sermon clips and then some photographs, because I'd like you to see the sound setup, my sound board, hear the room. It was a big tent. I think the average crowd was like 165 or so people, big. I did run sound on another piece of gear back in June, but it wasn't my new gear. So I had the Studio Live board there and all of that. So if you're okay with seeing those little clips and that's not going to offend you, then go ahead and say, play clip in the chat tonight. And if we get a majority, we're going to roll it. And you could go get a cup of coffee if you don't want to listen. I think the video I have is 3 or 4 or 5 minutes. Not even that. Let me double check here on my phone. I'm charging my phone right now because my other charger was not working. So let's just see. Does it give me a time on this clip? No, it doesn't on my iPhone, but I'm going to scroll through and I'll tell you exactly how long it is. It's literally 2 minutes and 36 seconds. Half of it's video, half of it's still images. So let me know if you're okay with that in the chat. So Tony, you've been up there for a while, so we are recording now. There you go, on the air, 7 and a third megabytes a second when I'm moving around. Oops, I jumped the gun here. Let me get back to Joe's text here. How did the sound gig go? How many instruments and how you liked the new board? Well, that's a great question, and we're going to answer that question here in just a minute. The last 3 Fridays, I did gigs with 2.5 hours, and so I was gone from 10 a.m. until 2 a.m. Wow. So, okay. So let it be known, I believe there's a couple of you guys in the chat that do live sound. I know Joe does live sound. Now it looks like Jay's doing live sound as well. We know that you, Jay, work in the audio trucks or the audio video trucks on the TV gig. So obviously talking live sound should be pretty open conversation, even though this channel's mainly about live streaming tech and things like that. But I believe the Studio Live 32 board is perfect for a studio. Now that I've used it, I'm going to talk a little bit about that tonight. What I learned, what I would really like to do and add, and how I'll probably be using the Studio Live 32 going forward. I'm a firm believer, Jay, that and Joe and the rest of you, that there's no better thing that you can do than practice. And so I'm out practicing. So how am I doing? I'm really tired. I'm exhausted. I put in a lot of hours. And this tent is being stewarded by a friend of mine. We've built a relationship over the last year. I like that he's taking this tent that he has into these small towns. And he took it to Benton City. And I volunteered. We had some sound techs there, so I ran sound one night. I helped occasionally getting things on and off of the stage. But this gig, it was 45 minutes north, and a lot of the same volunteers that were going to work at this event were not going to be available. So I was asked to bring my sound, augment it with the existing sound the tent has, which is 2 subwoofers and 2 Mackie, plastic speakers, and they sound like, I was saying this today, no offense to Mackie, but when you box a speaker and anything else but wood, it changes everything. I mean, how often do you see a plastic piano? How often do you see a plastic guitar? The wood is actually where a lot of the sound resonates. And so my Yamaha speakers were, because I've run sound on these Mackies, and my level of excellence is up here. I just couldn't tolerate just having the Mackies. So I used them for 3 days at the event on the inside. And then and my speakers filling the outside. And so I let everybody listen to those speakers for 3 days, all of the team, to make a point. And then I had the the outside sound, and I told them to walk to the outside and listen and walk to the inside. Obviously, if you're walking to the outside of the room, you're getting one speaker. You walk to the other side, you're getting one speaker. And then the last 2 nights, I flipped it up. I did not tell my buddy when I was going to do it. I told him I was going to do it, and he was going to hear a remarkable difference. He had to go to a wedding on Saturday, so he did not hear the speakers on Saturday. I did not tell him I flipped them. And so right in the middle of, and I'll get into the details here in a second, right in the middle of this set of music, he comes back to the desk, which is in the back, and you'll see pictures here shortly. He comes back to the back of the table where I was set up in the back of the house, in a tent again, so I'll still call it the house. He whispers in my ear, he says, "You have this sound dialed." Now, they had their own sound tech, so I had set up everything, and I had him mixing vocals. He is really only mixing the main singer who was leading the set. He was mixing her vocals and kind of riding it as she get quiet and loud, and just really watching her, because he does sound for them every week at their church. And so he introduced himself, and I said, "Hey, you're fine. You want to come in?" So he made some adjustments to lead guitar occasionally. He asked me where the bass was and asked for a little more bass. So that was fun because I love collaborating. That's just who I am, and I thoroughly enjoy it. He's super, super respectful. So that was fun. But again, my buddy came back and said, "You have this dialed." And then later on in the evening, he told me that he did not realize I had flipped the speakers. And he says, "You're right. I noticed after I said that to you, I looked up and there was the Yamahas on the inside. And now you can hear both of those." And where he was sitting, the front row of plastic chairs, we set them even with the center tent poles. So that's the center. The first row is literally, your ears are at center of the room. And that's the only way to do a tent if you ever run live sound inside a tent. Now, people will get up at the end of the service and they'll be up front. Some people stood up front during the set. But in reality, when you're sitting down and listening to whoever is going to speak, or whoever was telling the history of what's happening, and the guest leadership in that city that were hosting, kind of being MCs, they were in the sweet spot. I mean, their voices were really in the sweet spot. And then even on the edges, they had the Mackies on the outside. So with that said, that started Sunday, and Wednesday. So I did Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Then again, I was out there yesterday to break down. We had security on the premises. So lights up all night long. And obviously all of my sound equipment was covered because I used my new covers that my mother-in-law made for me. And if you want to know more about that, you can go back to last week's live stream. And so my speakers were covered every night. I lifted my monitors up and then put the covers on them, and they stayed up all night. And that kept a lot of the moisture that was happening inside that tent in that city from getting to my gear. And then I had a sheet over top of my board, and that's kind of how I rolled. So to answer your question, let's go back up here to Joe's question. How did the sound kit go? How many instruments? How you like the new board? Okay, so let's cover these. How'd it go? Got great reviews. Everybody seemed to like the sound. It kind of came easier to me than I thought it would, but again, I had been mixing for a long time. I don't like the sound of sound inside a tent. I like it to have some reverberation off the walls. We were getting quite a bit of monitor off of the back of the tent and coming up and over. So that was challenging. Obviously, in-ears would completely change that fact. And who knows, we might go to an in-ear system. We'll see. But again, that's an investment. So it sounded great. Everybody had nothing but good things to say. The funny thing is, a guy who lived right next to Pioneer Park, so you guys can Google it, look at where we were. Pioneer Park has kind of a swimming pool, and then right next to the highway, which is the main highway I would drive from the cities that I live in to go up to Spokane or go up to I-90, which crosses the state. It sits right next to Pioneer Park, right next to the highway. So couldn't hear highway noise because it was far enough away. But evidently at night you could hear the train. The security people said the trains would go by every couple of hours and they could hear that. Connell being a train town. And again, it's right on the main drag. And I'm sure at one point the old highway went right through Connell, because that's the way the main road has a history. And I was through that city as a young kid. Now you have to get off the highway to get there. And that's changed everything for the small city. So in answering how did the sound gig go, it went awesome. I loved being in a small city. Had to drive to the other side of downtown to find a drive-up coffee place. I found that on day 4. I was just buying coffee in my town and then taking it up with me, but I wanted to support that town while I was there. So I found a drive-through coffee shop, and I enjoyed it. So we did have some issues with electricity. They were running power from a generator. They rented the device that hooks up to the generator. It's a 50 amp power bank that you can bring in. It has 5 20 amp 110 outlets. Then it has a 30 amp, so you could plug an RV into it if you wanted to, or an adapter. That was plugged into a 50 amp hookup on our generator, or the tent generator. And then the breakers on that device were popping, so I had to augment that on day 2. So a little bit of issues with power, but we had no problems during the meetings. We had tons of problems day 1 before the meeting, but it was a revival tent. So they're saying that it was miraculous that everything worked every night during the tent meeting. We had a little RF issues with the 2 wireless handheld microphones, mainly in one little tiny spot. So we would only use the 2. It was some bilingual services, so we'd only use the second microphone that was having some RF. We'd use that with the interpreter, and the main speaker was using the one that wasn't having any problems. And it would literally be like you'd lose half a word, and then it would be fine. I think the signals were crossing, but it always seemed to be on my handheld, not on the one that I had purchased earlier for Drew. Little backstory. The guy that's overseeing the tent is also the person that I ordered that original microphone for, the wireless, and then I purchased one for my kit. So he has one and I have one. So it was nice to have 2 wireless handheld microphones for this event. So the other thing that you asked, Joe, was how do I like my new board and how many instruments? So every night I had to set up for a new band. That was hard. So this was a test at every level. The first night were some people that I knew personally from, we call it the Tri-Cities, Richland, Pasco, Kennewick. So I knew most of them. The drummer was borrowed from one of the other cities in the area, but other than the fact that we were having some power issues before we could even get a rehearsal in, it went really well. And then it seemed like we would add more and more. So we went from a mono keyboard with just one output to the last 3 nights we had stereo keyboard. We added pads the last night. We had lead guitar and acoustic the last night. We had a drummer every night, and I only mic'd the kick and had a condenser above the drums. We didn't add the condenser until night number 2. So 4 nights we had a drum condenser mic, not stereo, just a single condenser. And again, there was a drum cage, which helped cut down the drum sound. So having that condenser really helped us bring in some of the toms and stuff back into the mix. Had a mic on the kick since day 1. So let's just review. Keyboard was mono, 3 vocalists the first night, a acoustic guitar the first night, and a drummer the first night, and a bass player. Then the next night we went to a different keyboard, stereo on the keyboard, and about the same group. Then the third night we added lead guitar. We did it stereo, and that was for 2 nights. And then the last night we added pads, which is just the ability to play background music from an iPad, which they never used all night long. It wasn't like something they were going to play during their set. It was just music. I think they feel real comfortable having music playing in the background when they're just chatting on break. And I was handling that from the board. I didn't need a iPad on the platform. So we used it a little bit during rehearsal, but we used it not at all during the last service. We had a different speaker every night. We were having every night except for the first night was bilingual. 3 of the nights it was English interpreted in Spanish. One of the nights it was Spanish interpreted into English, which was kind of crazy. And then also we had one speaker. The opening youth night was all in English because the teenagers are in that area all speak English, and Spanish is kind of a secondary. And a majority of them don't speak Spanish anymore when they're like the younger teenage and young adults generation. So it was incredible. So I hope that answers your question, Joe. And how do I like the board? We'll talk about that here just in a second. DJ Ware is here in the house. Yeah, I don't want to catch what Shannon has for sure. She's been very sick for 4 or 5 days. Okay, 1, play the message. 2, play the message. 3, play the clip. 4, play the clip. Bring on the sermon, Doug says. Tony says, play the clip. Okay, so what I did, and I'm not going to be on more than an hour tonight. I'm totally exhausted. I have my son-in-law and my second oldest son coming over tonight. We're gonna hang out and spend some time together. And so we're a half hour in. We have a half hour more. So I'm going to play this clip for you. Let me unplug my phone. Ugh. Plugging back in my iPad, which is sporting tonight Mix Effects. So I like to be able to just play video. It's not a hyperdeck. I'm just going to play video from my iPhone. And for those of you, again, I think all of you, I've covered this before, but this is the Lightning to HDMI adapter, so you can plug it into your ATEM. I have this going into channel 3 on my Extreme, my main one, the one that I'm live streaming from and recording from. And it doesn't hurt anything to plug it in when we're live. And then as long as I have the clip queued, which I do right now, it'll pop up on my screen. And so I'm going to do Super Source here in a second, but I'm just going to show this to you. So if I cut to channel 3, there's the video. And so that's a shot of everybody at the close of the service. And I just put together a little bit of a slideshow. I want to talk over some of these. I won't talk at all during the 2 video clips. And you're going to hear a Ukrainian pastor from Pasco. And then the other pastor, I believe, is from Othello. Those are the only 2 clips I have. And I believe they're both speaking in English, and it's then being interpreted. And both nights, the interpreter was our host pastor who has a church in Connell proper. And he and his wife served us dinner last night. It's part of the reason I went back again. They wanted to say thank you to everybody that was there. So they put on a Mexican feast. It was amazing. And so we all gathered at their church, which is a renovated store. So there used to be a grocery store at the end of town. There's 2 ways into Connell. And so on the north side of town, right on the corner of Main Street and the road that leads out to the highway, which is 395 on the map. Again, it's Connell, Connell, Washington State. So you can Google it and look at the town, tiny town. But they renovated that church, and they wanted to see us to see it so bad. So literally, they could have had everybody fit probably in their auditorium, but they knew that if they had something in the park and they invited the community, people will have a tendency to come, and they did. I mean, they came from Othello, and they came from the Tri-Cities, and they had family from out of town, and people drove from Moses Lake, and all the little towns around there. So over that 5 nights, there was probably, I would say, anywhere from 800 to 700 to 800 different people that were there. Many people came back every night. Many people came back different nights. So it's pretty crazy. So let me get into Super Source here. Okay. There we go. I'm going to roll it. So that's the tent. That's setup day. Those are the host, pastor and his wife. That was the youth night. That's our electrician contractor. These guys helped us set up the tent. Here's a shot of Full House. That's a guy I met years ago in Othello. He recognized me. There's my board. There's a look at my view. There's the back of the board. I did use a 100-foot. Are we not getting any audio? Yeah.
Algo fue depositado. Instead of taking the shield of faith, en vez and then the snake. Oh, y luego la serpiente. Did God really say? Dios dijo. And you know, some kind of information was transferred to Eve. Did God really say? Algo fue depositado a Eva. ¿Y acaso Dios dijo? Doubt came. Vino la duda. Because something was deposited. Porque algo fue depositado. Instead of taking the shield of faith, en vez de tomar el escudo de fe, listen to me, devil. Escúchame. Instead of taking dominion, en vez de tomar dominio, something was deposited on the inside. Algo fue depositado dentro. And now we're not walking around naked anymore. Y hoy no estamos caminando desnudos. And sin came into the world. Y el pecado viene. And all the sicknesses came into the world. Y luego todas las enfermedades vienen. Because something was deposited on the inside. Algo fue depositado dentro.
And there was absolutely no room for anybody else.
Y no había lugar para ninguna otra persona.
But somebody say 4.
Alguien diga 4.
There were 4 men.
Pero había 4 hombres
who had a friend.
Que tenían un amigo.
And that friend
y ese amigo
had never been able to walk in his life.
No podía caminar en toda su vida.
He was oppressed of the enemy.
Era oprimido del enemigo.
He had a spirit of infirmity
Tenía
in his
un
life.
espíritu de enfermedad en su vida.
And he couldn't find his own healing.
Y no podía encontrar su propia sanidad.
But these 4 men had heard.
Pero estos 4 hombres escucharon
that the healer had come to the neighborhood.
Que el sanador había llegado a esa.
You know how you know you're in a good neighborhood?
¿Sabe cuando sabe que está en una
There's a lot of people always kind of loud.
Cuando hay muchos que hacen mucho ruido.
And somebody's grilling every night.
Y siempre están haciendo ahí carne asada.
You know that neighborhood where like every night someone is making carne asada with barbecue. It's just beautiful.
Que cada noche hay buena comida ahí.
That's actually the mayor of Othello. And that's the end of the clip. So I just wanted to give you guys just a little taste of what happened. And the reason that, well, let's go back to that. The reason I have this clip up there, and that's full screen now, and is because it's really interesting. I was introduced to the mayor of Othello. Now, Othello is a town not too far away. You have to kind of backtrack 10 or 11 miles and then go up a highway. I heard last night there's a V you can cut across. So They drive about 20 minutes to come to the event, and that's the mayor of the city. And evidently, the mayor of the city goes to our Friday night speakers congregation called Bethel in Othello. And so that speaker introduced him to me in the back of the room, and I looked at him. I said, well, your pastor has invited us to come to Othello. And I go, it would be really cool if we knew if the mayor was interested or not. And he said, I insist on you coming to Othello. So I found that quite interesting. This picture was taken right after that. I said, well, I'm going to capture this moment because I heard it right here. The mayor of Othello, Washington said he insists that we bring the tent to Othello. He said he would introduce us to all of the people in the city. We always like to go on community grounds and invite anybody who wants to come to the tent. And that pastor in Bethel would be the host, and then he would be responsible for he and his wife, who she led the song set on, Sunday night. And he spoke. Our host pastors emceed. Another guest pastor did the offering, and it was quite interesting to see them interact. It was just interesting. The fact that a lot of those people that attended are in that community are Hispanic, even though that's probably, I'd say our audience, it was probably anywhere from 50 to 60%. They were just super, super nice. In fact, everybody was super nice, but they were really helpful. And it was pretty amazing. When I went out there to grab all my stuff, there was probably 15, 20 people helping raise the tent or more. And that was Sunday afternoon when I went to spy out the land and see the size of the stage. And then last night, going to make sure I had all of my stuff out, all the power stuff pulled, all the cords pulled the gear out right after Sunday night. But came there, left some stuff because I was coming back anyway to go to dinner and wanted to be there to help pull the tent down, which I did. And so it was amazing, all the people, all the help. And I have to tell you, being in my studio doing so much live stream and Zoom and stuff like that, to be out doing a live event for me was an absolute blast. So I love the board. I had a little bit of an issue with the board. I had a direct box that I could not get a signal from, that we were getting a signal from the night before. I don't know what the issue was. We changed the XLR. We changed the 1/4-inch cable. Then I decided to give up. So I deleted that direct box, pulled another one. And I did use a digital snake. Reason I used a digital snake is I was using his board and my board, and I wanted to run his his 2 speakers and subs through the snake. That would give us 15 channels. It's a 16 input snake. That's what you call those large cords, cables. I should get a picture of a snake here just to show everybody that may not know. So that's a snake and an ad. Great. Love that. That's my happy thought right there. I'll not go to their site live ever again. I'll try this one more time. So that's about close to the size, a little bit bigger than that. And so you can plug it direct. I own the digital snake, which just needs a Cat 6 cable. But that gave me the ability to isolate everything center of stage. I had my speakers going through my digital snake. I could also use the Neutrik connectors, which is you can do line in or XLR in. I could use that for the pads. So I could just take a stereo to 3.5 adapter. Also computer, one guest, the first guest you heard, the Ukrainian pastor, wanted to show pictures of his family, his pictures of his pastor from the Tri-Cities, pictures of an event that he spoke at. And so he wanted audio for the video. So we used that snake as well, that digital snake for that. So I had 32 inputs. I had 30 or 16 outputs if I wanted to. So plenty of channels. And then I used one of the analog channels for my wireless microphone. I wanted it at the front of the house. I wanted to separate the transmitter, the receivers from each other. And I also wanted to use it as a talkback mic, so that even though I had my Sennheiser podium mic, I wanted to use this so I could talk to the band, stand up, not just be at the board and communicate with them, so that I could get them hooked up. So I had that handheld until the beginning of the service so I could actually speak to the band. So again, the bug that we ran into is when you go to set up a recording on the PreSonus, you can record to an SD card right on the PreSonus board. And I was doing that. And the first 2 nights I did it was fine. I got great audio recording. I recorded at the preamp level with no effects, and their wave files, when you're done, I set it for 44.1, I believe, hertz and kilohertz, and I then can mix it down later. So I had great gain on those mics, no peaking, so I can adjust that later. But on the 3rd night, when I went to set up the recording, I might have done something wrong. All of a sudden, everything went dead. It was at the end of rehearsal when I did that. So I pushed a couple buttons and everything came back live. And then the last night I did it between rehearsal, which I had about a 10-minute wait. The lead guitar player arrived late, the drummer arrived late, so they did the rehearsals without them. 10 minutes before the service, I was setting up that file and got it set up, was waiting for the lead player and the drummer to arrive. When they did, we hooked everything up. And when I went to go unmute their channels, I had nothing in the house. And it took me a couple minutes to figure out what would happen, but something I did transferred all of the analog inputs from analog to USB. And I don't know how it happened. You can record directly from all the analog inputs, also the digital inputs, and you can go to USB or to the disc. I was just taking the 2 handheld microphones and the keyboard, and I was recording that. I didn't want any vocals. I wasn't going to record any music. I only wanted the speaker recorded at the end of the service. So I did not get the speaker recorded on my PreSonus last night. I was not pushing that button again because I didn't have any time to see if it happened again. So I just held down, this is really cool. I held down analog and just swept across all the inputs. It switches everything that you sweep across to analog, and then everything was live. And that happened right as they were doing kind of introductions, and I noticed the handheld was dead. So it took me a few seconds to figure it out, and I swept across them and everything went live again. So that was the only live glitch, and that was a complaint I have about the PreSonus board, and it might just be user error. So hopefully that answers your question. So we played the clip. Anything else you guys would like to ask about the tent event? And if not, we will move on to talking about the DJI Mini Pro version 4. And so I'm going to open that up and get that ready. And let's just wait and see if anybody has anything to add. And I'm going to take a sip of this. I'm actually drinking my sugar-free icy drink tonight. For those of you who care, not iced tea for the first time in a while. I took these bottled to the tent. I put one in the door of my back seat of my car on both sides, so that's 2. and I put 2 on the left side, 1 on the right side, and then I would pull those out at the end of rehearsal and replenish my liquid supply. And it was fun. So, okay. Let's do this. Jay is asking, practice makes perfect, but don't forget to try new things and push yourself. Yeah, I agree, Jay. I pushed myself to the very, very, very limits with this event. The fact that I'd not really run live sound much at all in 12 years. I think the last event that I ran sound at live was a event in our park in Richland, Washington, and I only had to run a small acoustic stage. So I had drums and 2 guitars for one set, guitar and vocals for another set. Another set was guitar and bass and 2 vocals, and that was pretty easy. But at this event, on the stage, drums back left, 2 microphones there, stage front, a vocalist, sometimes an acoustic guitar player, stage back, drums, keyboard, stage forward, 2 more vocalists, sometimes a 3rd vocalist up front, so that'd be 4 total vocals, sometimes on key as mic 4, sometimes up front on lead guitar on mic 4, and then obviously lead guitar. And then if you go stereo, that's 2 channels for keyboard, 2 channels for the lead guitar. And I will tell you this, listening to it mono one night and listening to the lead guitar stereo the next night was night and day. So if I ever do any live events going forward, which I'm sure I will, we will try to always make sure we have a stereo keyboard in the house as well as the ability to do stereo guitar. And the reason for that, as a mastering engineer, mixer in a studio, you want to make room. I'm just dealing with mono tracks. I record every keyboard in stereo, record every guitar in stereo. Usually, sometimes I'll record mono in stereo, depending on what kind of album we were producing. But in reality, to have that pan right and left is pretty powerful. I like to be able to pick where I put each instrument, and that's why it sounded so much better, is that even though I did have instruments panned a bit, I don't know if you know what panning is, but in a stereo field, everything comes down the middle because you have 2 speakers depending on where you're sitting in the house. But if you were just with headphones on, it would feel like everything's right here. Well, once you got speakers out in front of you, wherever you move, you're panning the band right and left. But I can also say, well, I want the lead vocalist right here in the middle. I want the backup vocals on this side. I can put the bass in the back and actually pan it using some reverb or even position it. I can decide where I want the drum mics. I can decide where I want the keyboard to be in that stereo field. So if you are sitting in the middle of the house, it can sound amazing because you can hear every instrument and they're not competing for that same space. And then you have the same issue with EQ. So if you look at an EQ, and I want to pull this over here real quick. Do I have an EQ here? I can show you. I think so. So let's just do some quick sound training here before we get to that. So all of these bands across here, some instruments have sounds in all of these bands. So basically you have kilohertz and you have 31 on this side all the way up to, what is it? 16K on that side. And so all of these frequencies are competing for sounds as well. So you can EQ sounds out. Like let's say that this is my main, so I'm not going to mess with this, but I could pull this band down and give a little boost for, if that's a sweet spot in a vocalist, I could give a little boost to the vocalist, or I could just leave the vocalist EQ alone, but pull some of these competing frequencies out so that the sweet spots and the harmonics in her voice can come through and it doesn't have anything else trying to come through at the same place. So you can pan music when you're mixing it, and you can also EQ it to be able to let those areas in your ears breathe. For speakers, it's the same thing. When you are taking care of a room, you don't want to have any high frequencies in a bass guitar, so you take them out. If it's a female vocalist, you can cut out a lot of the low end in case something's bleeding through her microphone. You can also use gates. You can also use limiters to stop things from getting too high and competing. So if a lead guitar player really hits a string, then you can use a limiter so it doesn't come into that vocalist's range of volume. And I heard a lot of mixes where obviously whoever was mixing it had no clue how to do that, because every time the band gets louder, the vocalist starts singing louder as well. There comes a point where everything just sounds very muddy in a room, and that's because they don't know how to effectively set a limiter on other instruments, so that that vocalist, lead vocalist, could be a lead guitar as well, because it's a part of the music aspect of the song where it's a solo. Then you can do that. So I had the luxury of doing that as the track progressed. So I could turn those things on and off as I'm mixing a song, and as we're recording it, those things pop on and pop off. It's a lot more complicated to do that in live. So the reason I love mixing in the studio is that you have no limit on time. That song can be recorded 3 or 4 times until you get all those settings right. So when they go to the bridge, everything sounds just as amazing as they go to the chorus or they go to the verses. And that's not true with live unless you're one of the best live sound techs on the planet. And that's why a lot of people are using the new boards combined with Pro Tools, the Avid boards, because they can then run through Pro Tools and set limiting and all that stuff to be automated inside the song. So that vocalist is running through Pro Tools and then back out again. And if you can do that without any latency, then that's great. And I know bands that actually, that's how they sing live. They actually have that stuff happening. So it gives them the absolute best possible mix live that you can get. Okay, enough of that. Let's just bust through here. I might go a little over an hour, guys. I apologize. I ran audio for a statewide high school football game. This is TVJ. Completely outside my comfort zone, but totally worth it. Yeah, I would agree. I really enjoyed this event. Sunday at church, sometimes something to happen, one of the boards, we have 2, and it caused the whole Dante network to shut down. That's a bad day right there, Jay. Someone must have invited Murphy, nothing like live, to flush out any of those issues. So, yeah, and I think that's in response to Jay's comment. Well, let me just say this. The fact that everything did work. Now, I did take my ATEM Mini. I wanted to finish with this. I did take my ATEM Mini. I do have one picture here I wanted to show you guys because I know you'll love it. I think it was in my video. Let me just find it here. Any day now, Keith. It's not like you're live. Maybe I can find it in the actual video. Nope, not finding it. I'm determined to show this picture full screen because it is in the still image tonight. And I'll just put that up while I'm looking for it so you can see it. It's a picture of me at the desk. There it is. I want to cut to this full screen here. So let me do this. There we go. Sorry about that. That's the wrong background, but that's a macro gone rogue. I moved my software over to my other screen, so give me a second here, and I will fix that. Cool. So here you have a shot of us at the table, and I have my ATEM Mini there. I just wanted to say this. If you're remote and you don't check it, you may have your ATEM Mini default to a setting that is not good. And that is, if you don't have one of the recording levels set, it will do a low res recording, and it's like 480i. And that's what I ended up. I recorded to my ATEM Mini one night. That was the night the Ukrainian pastor spoke. I also recorded his sermon on my board. I didn't want to try to feed to the ATEM from my board. I wanted to separate the PreSonus board from the ATEM because I wanted to get a good quality audio recording. And then I was attempting to use my Insta360 and my iPhone, and all of that worked great. The video turned out great on the screen, but the ATEM was recording at 480p. You have to actually go in and change the settings. I don't think I can show that there. Can I show it over here? No, I'm not set up to show. I guess I can. Let me do this real quick. No, I'll be showing off my key. But on the output screen, there is a server choice, which destination, YouTube, if you're familiar with an ATEM Mini Pro, Extreme, all of the devices by Blackmagic design that use the control software, you have to choose a resolution. So the resolution choices are HyperDeck High, HyperDeck Medium, Low, Stream High, Streaming Medium, Streaming Low. There's a glitch in the software still because it happened to me. My recording, even though I was streaming at 1080p, or I was set up to send a signal from my iPhone and my Insta360 to my ATEM, it then will encode it at H.264 at 1080p. It recorded at 480. So forever, I will not have a quality recording. Now, I think I was recording the Insta360 in OBS, if I remember right. I just have not had a chance to go back. Friday night, I recorded in, did not bring my ATEM. I recorded everything my Insta360 saw in OBS, and everything I recorded on my iPhone is recorded on my iPhone. The one clip that you guys saw was the clip that someone shared with me. I just liked that part of the message, so I used it. They were not recording in a high quality iPhone, but I did put that in my video anyway, because everybody sent me all the photos they took those nights, and I'm putting a slideshow together as a part of the event. So, okay. Enough with that. Let's go like this and get rolling here on this next portion of our night here. So there we go. So DJI has announced a Mini 4 Pro. Yes, that's right. I bought the 3 Pro. Love it. Still have not taken my test. Who knows if I ever will. I've studied off and on. I never can get past halfway, and then something has happened in our world here at the house, either a sick mother-in-law or just the craziness of the family stuff. But I'm going to continue pressing forward to try to get my license. But this is from DJI's website, so I'm just going to share it with you. It's going to be DJI 4 Pro versus the Mini 3 Pro. So they set up this page. I will put a link. Let me copy it right now. Let me put a link in that video tonight. So let's go through this real quickly, and we'll talk about this. Maybe you're in the drones, you're not in the drones. I think the DJI Mini Pro 3 is a great value. This gets a little bit more expensive. It uses the new controller, which is quite a bit more expensive, and you have to purchase one of those, I believe. But let's just go through here. Here's some footage. This says on the bottom it's 720p, so you can go to 1080p. So that's their video of the device. We're going to skip that. So upgrade your aerial shots, camera improvements, effortlessly capture intricate details with the Mini Pro advanced camera, equipped with a 1 and 1.3 inch CMOS sensor, dual native ISO. So it's got dual native ISO, Fusion f1.7 aperture, and 2.4 4:1 pixels. The high dynamic range ensures striking highlights and shadow details, delivering uncompromised results. So it's supposed to be better in low light. The Mini Pro outshines its predecessor, talking about the Mini Pro 3, with a higher resolution camera, handling up to 4K HDR with 60 frames per second, compared to 4K HDR video at 30 frames per second. So I can shoot HDR 4K, but only at 30. This shoots 60, but it also will shoot 100 frames per second at 4K 60 if you're not in HDR mode. Enhanced in-flight performance, both beginner-friendly drone exhibitors, improved flight stability. The Mini 4 Pro has more advanced omnidirectional obstacle detection, avoidance systems, ensuring safer flights and beginners. So they've upgraded the flight system as far as obstacle detection, equipped with 4 wide-angle vision sensors and 2 downward vision sensors. The device proficiently detects obstacles in every direction. Enhanced safety is further ensured through the integrated advanced pilot assistance system called APAS, which facilitates automatic braking and bypassing during flight for a worry-free experience. The Mini 4 boasts extended flight time up to 34 minutes thanks to its improved battery efficiency. Furthermore, Mini Pro 4 features DJI's O4 video transmission. Enjoy ultra responsive control and smooth 1080p 60 frames per second HD live feeds from distance of up to 20 kilometers. So again, that is the other controller that you see in this picture. So you will have to, if you buy the 4, you're going to have to invest in the more expensive controller, and they have the flight bundles and all that. Advanced intelligent flight ways for beginners. The Mini 4 Pro introduces intelligent flight ways to assist novice pilots and enhance the user experience. The Mini 4 Pro offers 3 intuitive methods for capturing your design shots: spotlight, point of interest, and the groundbreaking Active Track 360. And I have Active Track 360 on my Mini 3. I love it. You can tap on an object and it will do a 360 around them. That's great for going around like a mountain or a person, getting a panoramic at a wedding. And so one day I will be using it to do a panel around the tent. I could have, but if I can't use it, then why take it? If I can't put it on my channel, why do it? Boasting improved subject tracking features. So it's got improved subject tracking features along the trace wheel interface to effortlessly capture seamless cinematic shots. The device's omnidirectional obstacle sensing capabilities enable obstacle avoidance. We already talked about that. Design and portable. There you can see it in the hand for size. It weighs 249 grams. That gets you under just one of the obstacles to fly it, but that doesn't help you be able to fly it and use the footage commercially without having a Part 107 certificate. So keep that in mind. Updated remote controller and accessories. The Mini 4 Pro features an updated and upgraded accessories, including propeller guards, a manufacturing carrying case, a wide range of charging hubs to cater to various needs. These improvements reflect the evolving demands of beginner drone pilots, offering additional convenience and versatility, performance and value. So there you go, $759 with the other controller. But if you want the advanced controller, it's over $1,000, and I don't even see that here on this page. In conclusion, the Mini 4 Pro undeniably raises the bar for mini camera drones by offering a wealth of enhancements compared to its predecessor, the Mini 3 Pro. From upgraded camera capabilities, improved flight stability, the suite of intelligent flight modes, and an attractive lightweight design, the Mini 4 Pro is the ideal choice for beginner pilots looking to enter the aerial photography world. So camera still tilts, better pictures, better low light performance. You can do slow-mo at, and I believe somewhere that says it does 100 frames per second, but correct me if I'm wrong, and I am going to stop at some of these shots. Great looking video, obstacle avoidance, and then there's the kit. And you can decide if that's something you want to add to your arsenal or not. Now, I wanted to cover this last week. I didn't have time with what I had planned, so wanted to jump into it tonight. Am I going to upgrade to the DJI version 4? Yeah, I probably will. After I get my pilot license, I will probably upgrade to that, sell my Mini 3. I like the obstacle avoidance. I want to do a lot of photography. So I do like the low light capability. I believe I did see the specs. It will do 4K 60 at 100 frames per second. That allows you a little bit better slow-mo. Obviously, I'd prefer 240 frames per second that I could slow down to 60 or 30. But in reality, there's just a lot of cool features with this. I want the safety of the higher end controllers as far as being able to communicate with my drone. My son-in-law lost his drone when it quit communicating, and that was like the old, bigger DJI drones before all of this change. So I wanted to throw in a real quick commercial. If you haven't checked out the new app by Blackmagic Design, there's the still image that I had ready for last week. Here is the Mini 4 drone, Mini Pro 4 drone, and you can see the app there in that little still. So check out last week's video where I spent some time talking about the app that Blackmagic Design just came out with for your phone, and check those things out because I think it's a really important tool. I have it here on my phone, so I could find it. Click on it. It's set right now to clean HDMI out, so I have to go in here and change it. Under settings. If I want to display it, but I have the app right here on the phone, and I use it all the time. Now, I didn't use this at the event at all. I might have one little piece of footage, but I love the fact that Blackmagic Design has this new phone app, and it gives you way better free intuitive control to your phone than you could even imagine. And you can actually do clean HDMI out. I'm just looking for the setting right now. I went through all the settings last week. See if I got it now. So yeah, I can show you guys the room. Let's go back. This would be perfect for this right here. Where are you at? Me and my iPhone. So there you go. So you're looking through the new free version of Blackmagic's camera app. You can download that to your iPhone today for free. But there you go. So you can see my shelf and the quality of the picture, and I have information on my screen. What am I doing? There you go. You can see on that side that I'm on, so you can see me twice. So you can see the quality of my picture. So let's do a side-by-side comparison here. You can see the iPhone using that app, and you can see my EOS R. So that's the kind of picture you're going to get from an iPhone if you use it for live streaming, and if you buy an EOS R by Canon or a camera equivalent with a full frame sensor, you're going to get a little bit better color technology and a way sharper image. So, oh, great. Okay. Of course, that would happen tonight. So unplug that. That's my son, Nathan, letting me know. Just letting him know I'm live for 10 more minutes. So that's it I have for those. Let's go back to the chat. Nope, that's not what I want. That's Skycam. Let's turn Skycam off the air. I told you I'd be making mistakes tonight. It wasn't a self-proclaimed failure prophecy, but there you just saw it. Chat on the air. Let's hit the right button this time. Okay. Jay was using a Mac and to do processing via Dante. DJ Ware was talking about the response to the SD card recording. These are some old comments. I'm not sure. Tony says he has not checked out the new 4. Yeah, I hadn't really had time, so I spent some time today checking it out. Briefly looked at it a week ago. Peter Lindgren did a great comparison between the Mini Pro and the Mini 3. We'll have to check that out. It's good to see you, Eric, joining us in the live stream. So, well, we're approaching 2,000 subscribers. Let's take a check here and see where I'm at. Looks like I'm still live. That's a good sign. I probably should be checking that every so often. Let me go to customize my channel here and check my analytics. Oh, let's see. 1,912. Woo! So we are almost to 80 subscribers away. I average 35 to 45 a month. So it sounds like before the new year, maybe around the holidays, I might be doing something pretty crazy. I'm plotting, I've been ideating, and you may see some incredible stunts when I hit 2,000 subscribers if you give me time. So if I hit it too early, it's not going to be as fun. So don't help me out. Let your friends know that we're here live every Tuesday night. I do plan on putting up my North American Bigfoot Research or North American Research Bigfoot Research Center video. Was so busy after Tuesday getting ready for the event that I haven't posted that yet, but you can go back, watch last week's live stream and see that video of my trip to the Oregon coast. There's some footage from the Oregon coast on my channel, as well as that video from the North American Bigfoot Research Center that's in Boring, Oregon. So check that out. So stats are pretty good. 54 subscribers, 15 more than usual recently. I'll disclose this, $17.47 of revenue from advertisements. Woo-hoo-hoo, I'm going shopping. So that's 28 days worth. So if you're wondering how much this channel makes through ads, now you know. In 28 days, almost $20. I'll take it. Anytime someone hands me a 20 or a 5 or a 10 and says, "Hey, Keith, just want to help you out," I would say yes. Thank you guys so much for your support of the channel. You have a celebration party with Ratso. Ratso 110% will be there. In fact, Ratso has something very special planned for 2,000 subscribers. He told me, we had a conversation just a few days ago. And so, in fact, literally, I have to tell Ratso to limit his time that he's asking for because I have other things that I would like to do. But yet Ratso feels like he has earned the audience here and he wants his moment in the spotlight. Hopefully, it will not be something that embarrasses me like normal, but I'm sure that Ratso has some form of embarrassment planned for me, for the channel, for you. So, and some of you are more targeted as I talk to Ratso than others. You may know who you are. And we'll leave it at that because hopefully you'll attend my 2,000 subscriber celebration so Ratso can embarrass you as well. DJ Ware agrees. Ratso. Yeah, I apologize. This is not a ventriloquist show. He is a co-host of my post show, and I haven't had my post show in a while because I'm too postal by the time I get to the post show hour. No, that's not true. I just decided to focus in on the tech for a while, and I will probably do 1 or 2 post shows before the end. Now, I'm going to close with this. And in tonight's live stream with this little information, and that is I usually do a quarterly Zoom event. And guess what? It's been a quarter. So in the next 3 weeks or so before the end of October, and it is October 2023, you are invited. You need to go to my webpage. And I'll just read that to you. I think I have a quick link down here. No, I will put it in the description tonight. Most of you have already registered, but if you would like to attend that Zoom and you already have my email me that you want to attend. I'll start a list. You'll be sent an invite. I'll give you a week's notice. It is not broadcasted. It probably will not be on a Tuesday night. The reason I don't want to do Tuesday night is the last one I did on a Tuesday night as a post show. No one hardly had time to come, just a handful of people. I want to get as many people on there as possible. So I don't want to compete with other people's live streams. I know TVJ goes live many times on Monday. I know you guys have other nights. So if you email me, let me know what the best nights are. And we want to have a Zoom conversation. So basically, you get a chance to bring your favorite new tech and talk about that. If you want to bring something personal, like a favorite hobby, that's cool as well. I know many of you have like these other personal hobbies that you have. That would be really cool to talk about. In fact, we may do that this time, talk about a hobby that we each have. I do want everybody to bring their favorite new tech to that Zoom call. So if you'd like to be a part of that, check out the links in the description later tonight, and you can join that Zoom conversation, get to be face-to-face with other people here on the channel. Hopefully they'll all attend so you can meet them face-to-face on Zoom, and we can talk about maybe our favorite hobby as well as that. And I may do a little bit more announcements about what the 2000 party will look like with those people, and you never know. Ratso may make an appearance in that Zoom call. You never know. So, okay, so I will have to go back and see the big tent video. Yeah, good to have you, Donald Oliver, on with me tonight. I did show some clips. Everybody voted and gave me permission. So buyer beware. There is a little sermonizing on my channel tonight. That's right. You got 2 languages too, if I remember correctly. You may have some English sermonizing and some Spanish blasting happening in the video, and some clips from the big tent. I did just spend 5 days, really 7 days total, at a big tent in Connell, Washington, and you're welcome to go back and watch that footage. I got a chance to use my PreSonus Studio Live board there, and it was a blast. I love the board. I love the size of it. I love how quickly you can set it up. I love the digital snakes. I love the idea in closing tonight. Donald Oliver Ministries. So UCam is really clean. Nice. Yeah, well, that is a EOS R by Canon, and you can get them pretty decently priced, and I have good lighting as well. So if you're going to have a good video, you need a good camera with a good sensor, and you need some decent lighting. And so, and I do have a program where you can get a free 1-hour consult. So anybody here that hasn't taken advantage of that, you can get 1 free hour. I do consulting on live streaming tech, as well as other things like podcasting. So you could take advantage of that 1 hour. You just need to use the link later tonight in the description below. Go to my website, fill out that form, and then I can explain my month-to-month program that I have. I am going to go up to Connell and help that church. They wanted me to meet with their sound tech, and they want me to look at their ATEM Mini Pro and teach them how to use it. I found one there at the dinner last night, so I'm excited about that. So I have a meeting planned to go up there and do some help there with Life Journey Productions, my business. So not only do we do some live sound now, we do sound training as well as other things. So you can take advantage of that 1 hour free Zoom consult anytime. And just let me know in that contact page on my website. So that link will be below later tonight. I just realized I'm getting tired of hearing my own voice. So last but not least, the PreSonus board performed outstanding in my opinion. Using it live was a dream. Couple little hiccups, and that's mainly me not having enough time to learn it. It is going to be a learning curve, just FYI, and it would be perfect for recording in a studio. The biggest and most exciting thing about these new digital boards for me is, and it's not Dante with PreSonus, but the ability to have different boxes in different rooms, even different consoles in different rooms of PreSonus or other things like Mackie. There's lots of different companies that make boards like Allen and Heath that you can use Dante, and the PreSonus has their own Dante type system, and we've talked about it here before. Their own code word for it, and it works flawlessly. And you can daisy chain different boxes. You could actually give your preamp control to one desk and have another desk someplace else. So it's great for studios, great for churches. One could be upstairs doing the live stream or in a back room treated doing the live stream audio and not have any control of the preamps. That also has a setting to make sure that if they make any changes on their board, it doesn't change the other mixes. So it's pretty powerful. So you could use it in a church to have multiple locations or a concert venue to live stream, and you could have one board mixing in the main room for the live event, and the other board could be mixing side by side for the live stream, or it could be in another room treated for sound and mix it more like a mastering situation. So I love it. That is one of the things I think is the coolest thing possible, and that will be an advantage of us to run a 50-foot snake to a little 8 in, 8 out to another tent in the future. When we do these events, that will be for children, and I can send a separate feed of music and things to that other venue, set up a microphone. There's just so many things you can do now with this digital ability from the PreSonus board. So just take 2 mixes and use it specifically for the other tent. That sounds really cool. And I'd have someone there making sure that the wireless mic worked. But all that would be feeding their speaker, not where I'm at. And you can do all that through these new digital boards. And I'm sure that's why churches are using it. The last thing I wanted to say is that they had the Behringer 32 board up in Connell in this little church. So I'm looking forward to playing around with that. I saw it last night. I'm looking forward to playing it. I looked at that board as an option for my studio. It's just too big. So I went with the PreSonus board, wanted the Allen and Heath, settled for the PreSonus board. I'm very happy with my choice now. No regrets looking back. So that's it for tonight. Just remember, there is a new drone out. We'll talk more about the sound equipment that I have and the tent event that I went to. If I think of anything else, again, tonight's photograph of me mixing for that live event, there's the tent. right at the beginning of the service. Probably had 50 or 60 more people show up that night. So it got pretty crowded. So, okay. So let's just look here. Any last words? And then we're going to wrap it up. My son is waiting for me to call him back. Yeah, Behringer 32 they have at that church. You're welcome, Freddie. Thank you for joining me. Thank all of you guys for joining me tonight. Again, if you do want to take advantage of our Life Journey Productions, if you need any help with live streaming, I would be happy to give you a free 1-hour consult. If you're watching this after it was live, you can take advantage as well. Just use the links that will be available in the description of this video later tonight. And I will meet with you free on Zoom and then explain the month-to-month programs that I have available. So I am Keith. This is Life Journey Productions Studios. I can't wait to hit 2,000 subscribers and have our little party together in the garage with Ratso, and who else shows up. We'll have to wait and see. We may have some special guests. You never know. But thank you so much for subscribing to this channel and liking these videos. Share them if you're that crazy, and go back and rewatch those sermonizing clips, and maybe that'll encourage your heart. And seeing me doing live sound in a tent in the middle of a field in Connell makes you happy. Great. Smile and enjoy life. I will see you guys on the other side. Until next Tuesday, I'm out. Roll video. Outro video. Roll.